I'm just doing radio tests at the moment. The center console is trimmed. I got some more carpet in. I decided to do something a bit more relaxing rather than engine and body and suspension work, and I wanted to do radio, and with this beautiful center console. And now you know my secret, which is I'm upholstering this interior in green, so it's going to be a black car with a green interior. You can't tell me you've ever seen that combination in real life. It's a fantastic combination. It's going to be deep leather green on a black body. I wanted a dark green for the body. However, I've never strayed away from original paint colors, so it's got to be black. It's got to stay black. I don't want to change that. But I have changed interior colors before, and so this one is no different. I'm going to do for an interior color green. So green and black. It's going to be real wild. So I've got this green green leather upholstered center console, and I'll explain more of that in a second. Hello, darling. Hello. Yeah. Push push. Because I didn't have door cards to trace from, I had to trace the door cards off of the doors themselves by using a very thin material stuck onto the door, and then stuck onto the door, traced out with a marker pen, stuck onto the material I want to cut out of, transfer the trace, take that traced material on the card, put it onto a jigsaw. I had to then shape it with a sander, you know, bring everything back into tolerance. Once that was done, I was able to take one door card and make another template out of the door card that I perfected, and luckily these door cards are mirrored between each other. So once you've done one, it was pretty quick to make the second one, and then I did all that for the front door as well, and they weren't too hard to make. They fit pretty well, but again, the material is a bit thick. You probably want a 0.4 millimeter instead of a 0.6 millimeter to have more spline poking through the door card, so you can actually put the door handles back onto it. But all in all, they didn't come out so bad. I like it quite a lot. And then the door capping goes on top of that, and that's it. The center console came out a real treat. I had to use a vinyl material in a similar color to the leather that I'll be upholstering the seats in, because I won't have enough leather to do the complete interior in leather. So most of it had to be vinyl. However, with the original Jaguars, you know, as they rolled out the factory, they did have a hybridization of leather and vinyl. That is, leather where you would touch the material, and vinyl where you wouldn't. So the size of this center console is vinyl, and the tops are leather. And I don't think the difference in tone is too extreme, so I'm very satisfied with the center console. The wood board where your hand goes was really easy to do. That took about 15 minutes to cover. On the other hand, the radio surround where well, the radio and the ashtray goes, my Christ, that was very difficult. You know, because it had to be made in four sections. The bottom section was pretty easy to do. Then the side bits were hard to get the right angle as it goes up the center console, and then the top bit, the fourth piece of that surround, that had to be the right length to, well, properly adapt it down. Otherwise, the sides would splay out too much. It did come out perfect. Things are a bit warped. Notably, the cardboard, it's crushed pulp cardboard is what that center console is made out of, and a lot of it was warped and horrendous and pretty terrible. So I used a steamer to try to straighten everything out, and not everything could be straightened. It was pretty rotted. But I did the best I could, and in some places I reinforced it with fiberglass, so I won't have to worry about breaking it when I lean on the center console. So in a few choice places, notably there and around the edges here and here, it has it's been fiberglassed. And then once that was all trimmed and covered, and honestly, this took 3 weeks to do. So I didn't film any of it. I was just wanting to just get it over with. So I apologize that there's scarce details, but I'll put pictures up as I go. The radio is a new old stock Sound4 cassette player. I didn't want anything new in the car. I don't really want that in a car. Tape deck, AM, FM radio, beautiful. It's more than I could ask for. I've got like 50 billion cassette tapes. So I'll be able to play any selection of my library, which is nice. And then I put 40-watt speakers into the center console, and it sounds all really, really good. So I've ran a wire through the firewall underneath the center console, which will be underneath the center console, and I've got this great clip that splits one into two clips, and one's powering the radio and one's powering the 40-watt amplifier, which is also new in the box, new old stock from the 80s. Kmart, $50 it says on the sticker. It's very, very cool. So with the radio up and running, I think we should focus on other things. Now that I've got a radio, it should be a lot more fun to work on this car now. All these headlights need to go back in. I've gone through and I've polished all the bezels. They're a bit pitted, so they're going to be, you know, they are what they are, you know. The headlights were broken for a long time. And I actually found out about how the wiring for these headlights, because I looked at the wiring diagram, and I found out that the fusible link for the headlights doesn't start at the battery. It actually starts after the electronics and the dashboard. And looking at the wiring diagram, I found out that the dipper switch is a junction box that switches between main lights and dip lights, and it actually routes the signal between the two. And the fact that it's not a switch, it's more of a junction box, and it actually points electricity to where it needs to be. And when that's on, it'll route it one way and then put power to the fuses. Because I wasn't getting power to the fuses, but it actually routes power to the fuses one way or the other. So with that figured out, I remembered I actually smacked the dipper switch on the floor-mounted dipper switch with a hammer. Just smacked it because it was so rusty. And that was to get it off, and I've had it off ever since. And now, working through my headlight issue, I realized that's actually a necessary component to everything working. It can't be just disconnected and left off. So I put it back in, and with some encouragement, it didn't work. But I used the junction wire just to bridge the gap, and my headlights are back. The problem then is that I need a new switch, so I wired in a Holden dipper switch for a Kingswood, HKTG Kingswood, just like in my HT Kingswood, and they work. So there's nothing left to do but put the headlights back in. They don't need to be out. They'll come out again when I start painting the car, but for now they can just be put back in for storage. So I'll put these back in. As far as the rest of the floor goes, they're flat pieces of carpet assembled nicely to each other, just like from the factory. So big slices of black carpet with some black hemming along the edges. We've got the driver's floor, passenger floor, rear driver's floor, rear passenger floor, propeller shaft, tunnel. All that's been upholstered. All I have to do now is the trans tunnel, which will help bridge the gap between the tunnel and the center console. And then we also got to do the seal cover, and then that's it. The car's fully carpeted. After that, I'll have to go and work on the roof liner. I don't mind the roof liner too much. It's not too horrible, but it does sprinkle bits onto you. So I have to work out a way how I'm going to upholster that easily, because it looks like a real nightmare to do. But we'll get to it if we get to it.
And that's going to have to do it for this episode of fixing this car up. It's all just been interior work, you know, working on the seats and working on the carpet and working on the center console, you know, trim stuff. I've been doing all trim stuff this time around. Haven't even looked at that engine since last time. Fun's been quite light. Things are expensive, inflation and all that. So yeah, probably not going to revisit that for a little while. The car drives okay for having a dead cylinder, and the brakes work amazing, and you know, it still runs, so that's good. I was thinking about rubbing back the body, but again, funds are getting a bit tight, so I'll be going back to that whole, well, this part's free. And I'll reveal next time the source of my leather. But for now, yeah, it's just all been interior work, and I think I'll continue on with interior work, make the car real nice to sit in, and you know, it does help, you know, mentally with wanting to work on something. If something's nice about it, if I can make the interior really nice, I'll be like, yeah, I really want to work on this. So I want one thing nice about this, and I want that to be the interior for now. Then I might paint it, then I might do engine work, or maybe I'll do engine work before, but at any rate, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.